we go. Well, they obviously didn't do a very good job prepping this mirror. Look at this. What is this shit? Today is Saturday of Easter weekend and doing something a little different today. I've been contemplating getting a new motorcycle. I have to sell one first, but I'm indecisive about what bike I want to get next. I've been looking at a few, so today we are going to go to the dealership. I'm going to look at a couple, maybe ride a couple, and hopefully I can come up with an idea of what one I want. Let's go. You get in there, Pappy?
Pappy's in.
Pappy's in. All right, you ready to go?
I suppose.
Here we go. All right, so we just pulled in to Sublimity Power. They got KTM, Kawasaki, Ski-Doo, Can-Am, Yamaha here. We are here today to look at the Yamaha Mt-07 and the Mt-09. I'm torn between the two. We are here, and by we, so let's go check out these bikes. What do you think, Pappy?
I don't know.
What are you sitting on?
Can-Am.
Oh, that's a nice bike right there. You gonna buy that?
No.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're in the dealership now. Got the helmet. We got a guy by the name of Frank. He's looking for an Mt-09 for me to ride. They got an Mt-07 that's on the floor, ready to go for a test ride. But all they have is these ones right here. I think he might be pulling out this Team Yamaha blue one right here for me to go ride. But I'm not sure. They got to get one prepped. These ones here on the showroom floor have the batteries unplugged, no gas in them, etc. So looks like it might go on the 07 first, and then we'll try the Mt-09, which I think would be an appropriate way to do it because the Mt-09 is a little bit more of a handful. So we'll see. This is Frank here. He's got the Mt-07 here ready for us.
Orange.
All right.
Yeah. So I'm prepping the same one for the 9.
The Mt-09?
Yeah.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Okay, so first thing, we have the 2019 Mt-07 here, and you heard him say it's like the matte gray with the hyper visible orange. There's been a lot of talk about this bike. It almost replicates the Dukes, which I thought is kind of a interesting move on Yamaha's part. But I have to say, I do like this gray color here. It looks pretty sick. I like it. This has the 689cc parallel twin engine, and you can't really tell with this stock exhaust on here, but if you were to put an exhaust on this thing has a sweet sound, being that parallel twin engine with the 270-degree crankshaft. The seating position is quite comfortable, but if you look, these bars are very narrow. So, what do you think?
Well, they could take the Yamaha stickers off and put Honda on there.
It might make it go faster. Get these mirrors adjusted here. These bars are a little too narrow. A lot of people change these bars out for the XSR bars, and I can see why. I think they're a little bit wider. All right, and here we go. These bars are not a very comfortable bar. Okay, so a little bit about this bike. It is, like I said, a 689cc parallel twin engine. It's roughly making about 70 horsepower, somewhere in that vicinity, don't quote me exactly, and about 50 foot-pounds of torque. So, as you can see, I'm in 4th gear, and it rolls on pretty good. That's a really usable power band in comparison to riding around a Super Sport. Let's let this guy go first. Scooter? Scooter! Scooter, scooter. quite easy to get that front end up. So being that it's not my bike, I don't feel like having to be forced to purchase this bike. So I'm gonna do my best to keep that front end down. Man, I can't get over these bars. These bars are, for this bike, it needs a wider bar for sure. Yeah, this thing is quite torquey. This thing is quite torquey. Pretty fun bike. Anyways, so this bike, aside from the handlebars, is quite a really comfortable bike. My feet are in a pretty comfortable position. They're in kind of a sporty position, meaning they're a little bit further back than being straight under my knees, so it's a little bit more of a sporty position. I do have rubber foot pegs instead of an aluminum foot peg, so it takes out a little bit of the foot buzz that you would get on, you know, a super sport. And I essentially have similar power underneath of me, but in more of a comfortable upright position. You know, I'm not sitting here hunched over on my wrists, so it makes it quite a comfortable bike. These turn signals are kind of in a shitty placement though. Kind of they definitely save money on their controls here. These are pretty shitty controls. This display right here though, being center, got gear indicator. It's a really nice tack actually. So they skimped on some places, but it looks like they did okay on this cluster. I cannot believe the torque that this thing has just for a 2-cylinder engine. I think the very first thing I'd have to do would be change the bars on this thing. The seat height is pretty good. I am 5'8", 5'9", and I can sit flat-footed on the ground, so for someone who's wanting to have their first sport bike, I would say this is a pretty good beginner bike into the market of what there is out there. Some of the super sports sit up pretty tall. They naturally have more of a tall, skinnier, longer profile, and some of those are, especially the 1000s, you have to kind of tiptoe the ground, where this one I'm able to put my feet flat on the ground, which is comfortable when you come to a stop sign or a stoplight. All right, let's let her eat. Moves on out. Thing runs pretty damn good. All right, and we're back. There it is.
Just as quick as that. How was
I put it back.
How was it?
You know, honestly, it surprised me.
It's got some good torque.
A lot of torque. That's the thing I noticed.
Got a lot of torque. We'll see in a bit.
All right. Okay, so here we have the Mt-09. This is the Mt-07's bigger brother. And this bike we have a 800 and I want to say it's 849cc inline 3-cylinder. The other one is a parallel twin, making 70 horsepower. This is an inline 3-cylinder making 105 horsepower. That is what makes me nervous about this bike. This bike, however, comes with quite a bit more features. This one has a mode control for the ECU, which is right here. You can see the mode button, and up here we got B mode, then we have standard, and we have it A, which I would assume is for advanced. You can hear in the inline 3-cylinder has a little bit different tone. Let's get on this bike and take it very easy. Oh, here's a small difference. We have aluminum pegs on this one versus rubber mounted. So probably get a little bit of foot buzz in here if you're riding this for a longer distance. This tail section looks good, nothing on here, and got the little European thing. Let's throw a leg over here. This one they just got ready. We'll take it easy on it. Ooh, that foot position is quite a bit different than the Mt-07. Like I said, we're going to take it easy on this bike. So the parallel twin, twins are notorious for kind of having a little bit more vibration than like a inline 3 or inline 4 cylinder. So right away, this bike already feels smoother, feels a little more comfortable in that aspect. I will say that these bars feel a ton better. Wider bar just feels like you have more control of the motorcycle. Now that doesn't mean shit. That doesn't mean I'll have control of this motorcycle by any stretch of the imagination, but it's all about how you feel on the bike. And with these wider bars, I feel like I have more control. So that is a huge positive. This has actually got a very comfortable seating position. Hey, look. Stay out of the water. Oh man, this is so much smoother. So let's do a little 4th gear roll on. Woo, baby. She wants to eat. Yeah, this is a very comfortable bike. I thought the other one was comfortable, but this is way more comfortable. And I feel like I have more grip on these aluminum pegs instead of the rubber mount. The rubber, they're obviously squishy. You don't get any foot buzz through them, but they, you know, they feel like they're slick rubber underneath your feet. So I feel like my feet are more in control on these pegs. These bars feel better. This motor runs smoother, being that it's an inline 3-cylinder versus a twin. Whether it be a V-twin or parallel twin, they still have, a little bit of a thump to them. And I mean, it has more, mode buttons and traction control, a lot more features for just a little bit more money. It's a bike to grow into for sure. It's just the power thing. Let's do 4th gear and let's roll into it. Let's let her eat a little bit. Here we go. Well, they obviously didn't do a very good job prepping this mirror. Look at this. What is this shit? Let's pull over here really quick and fix this mirror. Prepped a bike for me. Look at this shit. Let's see. Get that, baby. How are we gonna get this thing tight? There we go. That's feeling pretty tight. Ah, yeah. Okay. Well, good job prepping the bike, guys. All right. Yeah, this thing's nasty. Let's switch over standard. It changes the mapping of the ECU and everything, but this is fly-by-wire, meaning there's no cables here. This is all electronic. So I believe it changes the response of the throttle. Yeah, see, like, that's a lot more aggressive in standard mode. Let's see what A mode. See, we don't need nothing to do with that shit. So let's put it in B mode here. B mode is a lot more dumbed down versus, so we'll just keep her in B mode. I would like to go home to my family today. Boy, I tell you what though, guys, she wants to eat. Man, this bike is freaking moves Ow! Yeah. So this is my feeling on this bike. This bike has way more power than anyone needs. But there's so many aspects about this bike that makes it more comfortable. The wider bars, the foot pegs, the seat height, the way my knees fall against the gas tank is more comfortable than the Mt-07. But that power, man, you'd really have to grow in to learn how to control that power. Because she just wants to get rowdy. Let's not get the tire wet. We don't need wet tires. See how dumbed down that? Let's take a proper look at this. All right, so here we're in B mode. See how delayed that is? Now if we go over here and put it in A mode, see how much quicker? I mean, that's a neat feature to have. You know, until you get comfortable, you can sit here and ride the bike in B mode, get kind of familiar with the power that this thing has, and then you can start changing it. Over here we got traction control. I don't know what 1 and 2 difference is. I know there's a couple differences. I know when you start the bike up, it's in 2, so we're just gonna leave it right there. It's probably the safest one, and that's what we need. A question that I kind of had coming into this is, as a naked bike, how's the wind? I know it's there. I mean, I can feel it against my chest, but it's not necessarily annoying. 65 is actually not bad. It's pretty comfortable. That was one of my big questions, is how bad is the wind when you're going that fast in comparison to a bike that maybe has a fairing or something to help it go over top of you. And it's actually not bad. It's pretty comfortable. So here we are on the highway. Mirrors are all right on this thing. Here we are, flow of traffic, 70 miles an hour, and I'm pretty comfortable. The bike's heavy enough that I don't get kind of, you know, tossed around. It's actually, I think this is a bike I'd go with. Having rode the Mt-07 and the Mt-09, you know, I 10 minutes into this ride, kind of knowing that power is there, scares the shit out of me, but it's almost kind of thrilling, right? And that's kind of why you get a motorcycle anyways, is you kind of want to have the shit scared out of you every once in a while, right? You want to be able to roll on that throttle and get a little bit of adrenaline going. And this bike definitely definitely does that. More comfortable on this bike, and it has that power sitting there waiting for you. Yeah, this thing's sweet. Terrible placement of this blinker. Look how fucking chintzy that thing is. I love how wide this tank is. So the weight difference between the two, the Mt-07 I think is right around a 405 pound motorcycle, and this one's right around 425, 430, I believe. But again, that doesn't mean anything. This bike feels way more in control because I have that wider bar. I feel like I can throw this thing around a little more. So even though it has more power, it's a little shorter wheelbase, a little bit scarier on that aspect. I feel like I have a lot more control of this bike. So I would definitely go with this bike. That power, man. That inline 3-cylinder sounds amazing. And I believe on the European models, these bikes come with a quick shifter or an auto blipper, whatever you want to call them. So I know that that's available for this bike. So that's something to consider. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Before I even decided to get on it, I got into fourth and I was like, all right, now let's roll on, find out what this power is about. And man, the power, it's obviously intimidating, right? But this bike with wider bars, the foot placement, the aluminum pads versus the rubber,
More of a sport position.
feel like you have more control here.
Yep.
You have more control here.
Yep.
And this seating position is a little more comfortable than the Mt-07 in my opinion. So even though you have this power plant that's a little intimidating, I feel like I have more control on this bike.
Yeah.
So now you have a bike that has more features.
Yeah.
You have a power that you can grow into. Yeah.
Well, you're more of an experienced rider, so you understand the differences.
Yeah, that was the whole goal. Come up here and see what the 7, the 9 was about. But this thing's sweet. The Mt-09 is a sweet machine. These headlights are a little different on the Mt-09 than the Mt-07. They're LED on top of that, so that's kind of nice. This bike, in conclusion, in my opinion, is not a beginner bike by any means. It scares the shit out of me, but I do have more control of this bike because of the wider bars, the aluminum foot pegs here, the placement of the pegs, the seat comes to a narrower point here, so your legs are a little more together, tie into the tank, so you feel like you have great control of this bike. To top it all off, it has traction control, 3 different ride modes, so it's quite the bike to get if you're planning on growing into anything. But if you've never owned a super sport or anything like that, this bike would be very intimidating. It intimidates me. All right, so we just got done at Sublimity, what is it, Sublimity Power?
Yeah.
Just want to give Frank a shout out. Got the Mt-07 ready for me to go ride, and then he quickly got an Mt-09 back into service and got it all set up for me to ride. I was able to compare the two, so huge shout out to Frank. Thank you again for letting me take him out. I think the Mt-09 is, I think it's my choice. So if you're on the fence and want to go and ride either one of them, I would definitely do that, but the Mt-09 is quite an amazing machine. And I just want to give another thank you to my co-pilot.
Hey.
So we're gonna head home now. Maybe stop and get something to eat. Are you hungry?
Yeah, we'll stop at the A&W.
We're gonna stop at the A&W. So have a good day. Sorry, really quick. Wanted to jump back on here to give Frank a proper shout out. Hit him up.